when folks of color do the work of social justice, it kind of feels like preaching to the choir a little bit.
Right.
Like we all are sort of trying to fight for some kind of change and, share about the aggressions, the microaggressions, the outright, incidents of racism. And, if other folks aren't in the room, it's sort of like it's kind of lost on deaf ears. It's like, well, we all know, we all experience this. How do we change it? We can't just do it ourselves.
I can't die and feel that nothing has happened to begin to move that power structure. It won't yield. It won't, as one neighbor of mine once said, it won't just take care of itself. This is a hard thing for white people to face. It's so much easier to pretend, oh, this doesn't affect me, and surely it doesn't affect my church. I see it constantly, and yet I know there's promise in it. And I know that from the people I talk with in my own congregation now, that when there's an awareness that some are struggling with this and feeling that they are growing through it, that's attractive.
The challenge of dealing with racism is that you can't just deal with racism because it touches so many things, right? It's so enmeshed in so many things that it intertwines. So when you address one part, it could trigger this guilt, shame, anger, all of these kind of complex emotions, and it can be kind of exasperating.
I think it's definitely important work to work in affinity groups in these conversations for white folks, because in our journey of pursuing reconciliation, of pursuing anti-racism, there can be harm that is done. So I was just excited to get involved with art and to see what it looks like to pursue these conversations in affinity group spaces, working with Euro Caucus churches. And so right now I'm doing a lot of learning from the other folks in art, and I'm excited to kind of see where the future holds.
Advocating against racism has been a continual journey for me, with many, many, many moments of raised awareness, of learning, and this deep understanding that I will always be learning about this throughout my life. I kind of compare it to God's call on my life. I had several moments of knowing I wanted to be a minister. I didn't have a kind of transfiguration moment or Damascus Road moment, but it's just been so many different pivotal moments throughout my life that just remind me that I'm on this continual journey. And with my journey of anti-racism, it feels much the same way.
And I think the church has a responsibility to learn how to respond to these issues and to lean into discomfort and to lean into conflict. And there are a lot of incredible young leaders in the church who are hungry for these conversations and who are working towards getting folks involved and getting people active in these conversations in the church. And it's easy to be disillusioned at the same time because it feels like the world is changing so quickly and the church sometimes can seem like it's digging in its heels. But one thing I would say is, don't lose hope and be real about it. I've learned the most from leaders in the church who are able to say that they've been wrong and that they're learning and growing. So I would encourage young folks to not lose hope, to still be involved and to be real and vulnerable in the process, because that is going to be a gift to the church to help it move forward.
I really hope that we will continue to just take whatever opportunities that are in front of us. We can have conversations across caucus lines like we have not been able to have so far. And actually, Evergreen has much more potential than practically anywhere else, because we have these caucuses that have an equal voice within the life of Evergreen. We can have a sense of an equal footing. and then be able to begin those conversations that we haven't been able to have because of racism, and I'm speaking as a white man, to become aware of the ways that I have just sort of minimized other people. And when I can then step back and engage with them on an equal footing, it's a new relationship.
You know, anti-racist education, it's not about shame or guilt. That's not even a part of the equation. It's about awareness, decentering ourselves, and remembering that we can always learn something new. Sometimes learning something new might be uncomfortable, or it might require us to look at our own actions and thoughts a bit. But I think just the perspective of I'm always learning and that's okay, I think that's incredibly helpful to have with inclusion and diversity. And it makes it a much more approachable experience for those who want to go on an anti-racist journey.
There's so much at our fingertips right now, books and resources and all kinds of information. If people would just take the time to educate themselves, to learn about other cultures and the history of racism in our country, I think that would be like a really important first starting point. And, you know, having conversations with one another, because we can stay stuck in our guilt instead of moving past that into like action and restoration, reconciliation, and, you know, doing the work to kind of rectify some of these problems.